Chapter 39. Let's just screw everyone forever. Once everyone got back together, the party got a visit from Aboris. He had been tracking the party and had found out about Hassan's plans. Worse yet, he had been running background checks and realized he had been far too trusting. So, after an appropriate trumpeting arrival in the company of flaming archons, the angel gave a furious warning to the characters, heralding rains of stones and divine justice and, all that. He carried a ridiculously long scroll with all the sins committed by the party, and he proceeded to read them out loud in a correspondingly dramatic manner. "Shit," said Hassan. "How do we get out of this one? The water will probably make these guys stronger, if anything. Plus, we've lost a business venture. I don't like losing business ventures. Well, it is polluted by sin. Maybe it'll harm them," noted Rakim. "Though, then again, he is a herald of Desna, and support will probably come quickly, even if we manage to bring him down." Jack just washed himself hysterically with mercurial water, while Vorgok debated himself between charging to chew the Archon on the left or charging to chew the Archon on the right. Caught in the absurd bureaucracy of heaven, Valinar guessed Aboris would probably not be able to carry actions against them until all their sins had been made evident. So he took Vorgok and whispered to him, "Take the gatecrasher, run through the mirror, and then—" He shook his head. "Scratch that. I need you to fail your next saving throw." The priest figured out it would be easier to just take control of Vorgok's mind than explain the whole plan, and the barbarian agreed. So suddenly Vorgok sprinted out of the scene, grabbed the gatecrasher, jumped through the mirror into Celestia, ran across the pumping station, made a grotesquely high acrobatics roll to dive into the Silver Sea, swam as deep as he could and, once in the bottom, called the name, Atharabak, and smashed the ground, opening a 60-foot wide rift into Avernus, the first layer of hell. It took a lot of swim rolls to be able to go up rather than into the rift, losing the gatecrasher in the process. Valinar's player was pretty upset about that, but Vorgok finally got out. Behind him, the Silver Sea began pouring into Avernus, like a gigantic toilet being flushed, mixing the holy waters from Celestia with the corrupted earth of Bator. Flames erupted from the eye of the ever-enlarging whirlpool, and a shock of blackness began overtaking the waters, rising foul winds and withering everything it touched. Things weren't much better on the other side, as a tidal wave of mercurial water washed away sins in what was pretty much Sin Central, breaking the earth in explosions of white light, and causing widespread destruction, pulling petitioners out from their torches just to drown them in the current afterward, or smash them against a rock. Aboris panicked the moment the rift opened, and connected heaven with hell. He disappeared instantly and dropped the scroll, which Hassan promptly burned. "No idea if it does anything, but just in case they don't have a backup," he said while sort of dancing on the remains. He then turned to Vorgok. "Now, what on earth did you just do?" The barbarian shook his head. "No idea. Ask the priest." Valinar panted from the effort. "I drove the angel's attention away from us. Their precious sea is now draining into hell." The party remained silent for a moment, until Hassan spoke. "And what will happen?" "Well, worst case scenario, they close it up and come back at us twice as angry. There is also the chance the devils get angry at us too and come back to get us as well," Valinar responded. "Best case, Celestia gets poisoned to its core and doesn't bother us anymore. There's also a good chance that we have just created a new battlefield in the Blood Wars, and both sides will spend their time fighting around the rift, which won't close until someone finds the gatecrasher, which, considering how it fell into Avernus, seems pretty unlikely for now." "So, shouldn't we close the mirror?" Jack pointed out. "It's kind of a disaster zone, right?" The party had been gazing through the mirror for a while, as Lunia quickly turned black from corruption, seeping into its waters. Devils clawed out through the poisoned waves and began engaging the bands of angels, archons, and other holy beings gathered above the rift, and the whole thing just seemed right out of a medieval canvas. "Good idea," said Hassan, uttering the words to close it. Some elders and workers had managed to get out, but several dozen were left behind. He closed the mirror and had some assistants take it to the palace. Perhaps it'll come of use later. If there really is a new battlefield, someone will have to provide them with weapons.